The biggest mistakes that newly licensed real estate agents make. If you're brand new to the real estate industry or planning to get your start in the near future, wouldn't it be nice to know the mistakes you're most likely to make before you actually make them? Because if you did, perhaps you could prevent making them in the first place and get to where it is you ultimately want to go sooner. And so in order to help you do that, in this video, I'm going to lay out the biggest mistake that newly licensed real estate agents make. That way you can avoid making them yourself. My name is Tyler Roicki. I help people build income and wealth in real estate, and I run an international real estate team at eXp Realty. If you get any value out of this video whatsoever, all I'd ask is that you like, comment, and hit that subscribe button so that I can continue to share more tips and resources with you in the time ahead. Also, if there's anything I can possibly do to help you now or in the near future, go ahead and send me an email. You'll find my contact info along with some other helpful resources for you in the description below. And with that in mind, let's dive into the video. I've boiled down what the 18 most common mistakes are, and I know that sounds like a lot, but there's a lot of different things that people tend to get wrong when they're starting out in a new journey in real estate. The first mistake newly licensed real estate agents make, mistaking their brokerage search with a job search. When you're coming from a background of working a 9-to-5 job, you've got to understand that when you're diving into the world of real estate, you are not going out and getting a job when you affiliate with a brokerage. What you're actually doing is launching your own business, and the brokerage is there to effectively power your business. And so you're your own business powered by a brokerage. Brokerages all want you. It's not like you're interviewing for a job and you're hoping they make you an offer. Effectively, they're not interviewing you. You're the one interviewing them, and you get to really select which brokerage you want to go with that you feel is going to provide you the most in the way of support, training, leads, compensation, and all the resources that you need to ultimately get traction and succeed in the business. So know that the power is in your hands. You're not looking for an offer. You're looking for where it is that is most in alignment with where you want to go in this business. You want to be in the right environment. You want to surround yourself with the right people who are further along the path of where you want to go in this business. So you should not take that decision lightly, but don't make that mistake either of mistaking your search for a brokerage with the search for a job. Two completely different things. The second mistake I see newly licensed real estate agents commonly make is going with the first brokerage that they interview. So the problem with this is that when you go with the first brokerage you interview, for better or worse, you have absolutely no reference point on anything to compare it to. And there's a variety of reasons that someone might do this. For instance, you might have a friend or a family member who is a licensed broker themselves, and naturally you might want to go with them just because of that relationship. But I'll tell you, this is far too important of a decision to make solely based on a pre-existing connection with someone, even if they are your family, because what we're talking about is you're launching your own business. You're starting something new, and it's so important that you position yourself to succeed in the best way possible from day one. And so you can't just look at that existing relationship, or maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was a sign that you've driven by every single day for years on end, and it's just top of mind now when you see that company in office. Or it could just be a big brand name. It could be a variety of reasons that you might think you want to go with the first one. But I'm telling you, at least assess more than one option so that you have a point of reference for what it is you're comparing that brokerage that you might otherwise go with to. Because if you know your options, you'll know either more so or less so that that place you wanted to go in the first place is the right place, or perhaps you might figure out that it's not truly what it is that you need and want the most in the way of support and resources. And really, there's 4 things that we as agents are going to rely completely on the brokerage for: support, training, leads, and compensation. And reality is, a lot of brokerages fall short in most, if not all, of those 4 categories. So when you're looking at your different options, you're going to get a better sense of what the differences are from one place to another. That way you can figure out what's most in alignment with helping you achieve what it is you want to moving forward in the industry. So assess your options. Don't just go with the first brokerage you interview. At least look at 1 or 2 or 3 other options. That way you have a clear idea of what it is that they have to offer that stands out over the rest, or vice versa, where they fall short and maybe you find a better place to actually start with from day one. And that brings us to the third mistake I see newly licensed real estate agents making, which is starting out in the wrong environment. So you've got to understand that the standard in our industry is that it's a very competitive environment from brokerage to brokerage, meaning you go into that local office, you're not going to find a huge collaborative environment for the most part. Instead, what you're going to find is a bunch of other real estate agents like yourself who are all competing for the same business in the local market area. So you got to think about it. If you go to that office with the other agents, what incentive do they have to actually share their strategies, their secrets, and their success tips with you as a newly licensed agent? And that's another reason why you want to have different options to compare, because it's really hard to compare that when you don't have anything to compare it to. I mean, you have one environment, you don't have any other points of reference, but if you see what the different environments are like, it's likely that at least one of them will really stand out as a different kind of environment than the other ones. And that's what you're looking for, because you want an environment that's going to be most conducive towards your growth. You don't want an environment where you're newly licensed to the business and you're hearing other people around you, or let alone the broker, telling you you can't do something because you don't have the experience or you're too new. No, you should have an environment that empowers you to go out there and do that, knowing that you can rely on that environment to find the answers to the questions you have when you have it, so that you can best help and serve the clients and seize the opportunity to maximize your earnings potential in this business, even as someone who's brand new to it, just getting the ball rolling. And that brings us to the fourth mistake I see newly licensed real estate agents making, which is listening to the wrong people. You've got to understand that just because someone's been in the real estate business a few years or even a decade or two doesn't mean there's someone whose advice you should listen to. This isn't a business that awards tenure. It doesn't award how much time you've been in the industry. It rewards the results you produced in the industry. And fact is, there are agents out there who have done more in a year than others have done in 10 or 20. And there's far more people willing to give advice than there are people who are absolutely crushing it and achieving their goals in this industry. So you've got to be cognizant of that and know that just because someone's been around in the industry longer than you, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should heed their advice or even really consider it. So you have to have discretion and really ask the question, is this person where I would like to be financially, in their business, even in their personal life, relationships? Is this someone who is living the kind of life I want to live, or are they not? Because if you have a goal that you want to go out there and produce a big income and big life, you shouldn't necessarily take advice from someone who isn't doing those things. There's a lot of people that make a decent living in this business, but unless your goal is to make a decent living, you should be careful taking advice from that person, because they're speaking on what they know how to do. If someone knows how to make $50,000 a year in real estate, they're probably not going to be able to tell you how to make 6 figures a year in real estate. So you've got to be really careful about that and show discretion, because a lot of people will give advice, but a lot of advice isn't going to be worth you taking. So you really have a filter with that and really pay close attention on who it is that you're willing to listen to, because you don't need 100 people. You really only need 1 or 2, if that, people who you can follow and just model their success. Because if one person's done it, if one man or one woman's done it, another man or woman can do it. So model success and then implement what you learned from them immediately to help you get closer to that point, one step at a time. The fifth mistake that newly licensed agents commonly make is relying on somebody else for leads. The last thing that you want to do as your own business owner is put yourself in a position where you're reliant on somebody else to produce leads for you to go out and make business happen from. And you have to be careful too with the interview process with this, because a lot of brokers will tell you what you want to hear as a newly licensed real estate agent, not what you need to hear. And what you want to hear is that they have leads, and that, you know, all the different ways that they're going to help you generate this business and hand it off to you. But the reality is, brokers are not typically in the business of generating leads themselves. That's not what the brokerage business is. The brokerage business is the back end support for the agents and the broker help. There's companies out there that produce leads, and there's a cost that's associated with that. And so that's just not how it works, but a lot of brokerage will cater to what it is you want to hear and tell you about all the different ways they're going to get you leads. But this is the biggest thing I see overpromised and underdelivered on by brokers in our industry. And so allow me to tell you what it is that you need to hear. And what you need to hear is that nobody is coming to save you. You have to put yourself in a position where you are generating your own business and you're taking ownership for the fact that that falls solely on you as your responsibility to do that. Now, the right broker and the right support system can provide you different avenues and tools and resources that you can plug into to help you generate more of your own business. But do not position yourself to be dependent on somebody else from leads from day one. If you do that, you are setting yourself up for failure. The sixth mistake that newly licensed real estate agents make is confusing busy for productive. As real estate agents, there's a variety of things that at some point along the way we need to do in order to keep our business moving forward. It's not like we're doing one thing. No, we're doing a bunch of things: paperwork, showings, lead generating, following up, being people's counselor and therapist from time to time, just emotionally helping people navigate things, because it's a big deal. Buying and selling a house, it's the biggest financial transaction of a lot of people's lives, and you're dealing with high emotion situations, and you've got to keep people calm. You got to be the calm in the storm and help people navigate through all of it. But here's the thing: even though there's a whole array of things that you could be spending your time as a agent on a daily basis, you've got to understand that not all that time that you could be spending is truly productive time. And the thing that a lot of people really get wrong is that they spend far too much of their time, especially getting started, on non-revenue producing activities. And what I mean by that is they're doing things such as designing flyers, websites, all sorts of other things, even showing houses, writing up contracts, paperwork, like researching market data. All of those things, while at some point might be necessary to do, they are not activities that will add additional revenue into your business. Meaning if you spend too much time on them, you will go broke because your business will not have any revenue coming in. Just because you put 8 hours into your business or 10 hours into your real estate business a day, if most of it was spent on those non-revenue producing activities, then you didn't put the time in to really move your business forward and produce more of a result, which I think that's why we all got in the business, to produce results, or in other words, to earn income, to maximize that earnings potential. And so the way we do that is by spending our hours as much as we possibly can on revenue producing activities. So do not confuse busy with productive. Know the difference and maximize the amount of time you're spending on activities that will drive more revenue to your bottom line. The seventh mistake that newly licensed real estate agents make is not being disciplined with their schedule, or worse yet, not using a schedule. So oftentimes people getting into real estate are so excited about the fact that they are their own boss, they get to make their own hours and decide when it is they want to work. But the problem is that a lot of people don't actually decide when it is that they're going to work. They don't actually create their own schedule and have any discipline whatsoever in making sure that the key activities that need to get done throughout the day, every single day. And maybe when it comes time to service a client, maybe they do it then, but up to that point, a lot of people aren't consistently blocking the hours on their schedule to do the activities that will drive the needle forward in their business's revenue. Like I said, revenue producing activities. So when you get into real estate, you're your own boss. That does not mean you don't have a boss. That means you are your own boss. And so you've got to be more accountable to yourself than you even would be if you had another boss looking over your shoulder. Because guess what? You're in a position, you have an opportunity to build your own dream and future, not somebody else's. So should your accountability level be higher or lower in that situation? Well, if you have more opportunity, I'm going to tell you it should be higher. So what's neat is, yeah, you're in control of your own destiny, but you cannot not be disciplined about it. You have to be disciplined, and you have to account for every hour of your day and make sure that the key things that you need to get done on a daily basis actually happen so that you can continue to progress forward in this business. So use a daily schedule, plan your week accordingly, block off every hour, if not every half hour, and account for all of it, and stay disciplined and sticking with what it is you have on your schedule and what you need to get get done every single day. And think of it like a job, as if you had a boss who you were accountable to, who you needed to show that you did complete what was needed to be done in those hours, and that if you don't do that consistently enough, that you're actually going to get fired, because that's the reality. You will get fired from your own position in real estate if you don't make it in the business. So you got to hold yourself accountable and make sure that that never happens. And that brings us to the 8th mistake that newly licensed real estate agents make, which is not initiating enough conversations. As your own business owner, it is 100% up to you to get your name out there and make sure that you're connecting with people, having conversations, building relationships, because this is a relationship business and it's a full contact sport, meaning without contacts, nothing happens. On the flip side, if you make a lot of contacts, that's how you make big things happen and get a lot of business done, because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So you've got to become someone who the people you're meeting, the people you're already connecting with, and everyone in between starts to know and associate you with real estate and seeing you do positive things with it. So the way that that happens is through conversation. It's through connecting, building relationships, and it's through making sure that when these conversations are happening, that real estate comes into the picture frequently. Meaning you might have a conversation and you ask someone how they're doing, they ask you how you're doing, and you can follow it up with, hey, how's work? And then they'll ask you probably the same thing. And guess what? That's your cue to dive into how excited you are about real estate, what you're working on. And a lot of people will follow that up, or at some point they'll ask you, how's the market? People ask that all the time when they know you're in real estate. How's the market? Well, you could have a basic response to that that goes nowhere, or you could have something that you really share with someone, or even better yet, you could hook them up with the market report and let them know that you'll show them exactly what's going on in the market and that you've got a value piece to send their way that can really help them stay on top of what's going on. And that will start to associate you with not only being in real estate, but really being proficient and knowledgeable in real estate. So it helps to know what's going on in your local market and to really have a great answer to the question. Last thing you want is to say, oh, it's good, it's great. No, that's an opportunity for you to really dive more into things and demonstrate the kind of value you bring to the table in helping be a knowledgeable resource about your local market area. The 9th mistake that newly licensed real estate agents commonly make is no follow-up. Little to no follow-up. Far too often, people do not follow up enough, and there's so much business that falls through the cracks when you're not staying in touch with the people that you're connecting with along the way. It's not enough to generate leads. It's not enough to have these initial conversations, especially when you identify somebody who is in the mindset that they're thinking of their next move, buying, selling, investing in real estate. They see it on the horizon. You want to follow up with that person, and you want to follow up frequently with them, because if you fail to do that, chances are you're not going to be in front of them in that instance that they're ready to move forward and take the next step in that direction they want to go. And if you fail to be in front of them at that point, chances are somebody else will be, and they'll get that opportunity where you missed out on it because you weren't there, because you didn't stay on their radar and stay top of mind. So follow up, follow up, follow up. Fortunes are made and lost in the follow up. In fact, you'll make more money in the follow-up than you ever will on the initial conversation or two. It's really staying in touch and staying top of mind and adding value along the way that gives you the opportunity to help people when they're ready to take that next step forward. And if you don't heed my advice on that and implement it immediately, it's only a matter of time until you realize that truly is the case, and you'll wish you listened sooner. The 10th mistake commonly made by newly licensed real estate agents is skipping the buyer's consultation. You never, ever want to skip the buyer's consultation, even if they already know they want to work with you, even if it's your best friend or family member or parent or anyone. No, do not skip the buyer's consultation. Always follow the process, because you are the professional. It's up to you to dictate what happens next and to set forth the next steps. You have to take control of that conversation. You can't let the buyer take control. They're not buying, selling real estate every day. You're helping people do this every day. So you have to take control. People are going to rely on you as a professional to do that. And if you fail to do that, they're going to decide what direction you go, and who knows where that leads you to, because you can't just go into showing houses. You can't let the buyer take control, because they're not the one who knows what happens next. Maybe they've bought a house before, maybe not. But you have to dictate when someone is ready to take the next step. It's up to you to tell them what the next step is and set forth what happens next and the time for that initial meeting, or to follow up with them to set forth the next steps. And so you got to lay out the roadmap with buyers, with sellers too. You get to show them what happens next in the process. And if they're serious about taking the next step, they're going to follow your lead on what happens next. So if it's an initial meeting with the buyer, you're going to get your opportunity to not only walk them through the process of buying a house, but also to set forth expectations to help educate them on what it is you help with and how you can help. Because if you don't have that initial conversation, what will happen is you'll have scenarios where people who you thought you were helping go out and speak to a new home salesperson and end up buying a new home without your help. Or maybe they go straight to a for sale by owner and they didn't know you could help them with that. So when you have that initial conversation, it eliminates all those things if you're setting the proper expectations and walking through everything. It also helps develop trust and rapport, and it makes the next steps more clear. It allows you to have control over the situation and to really make sure that it's a smoother process going forward than it would be without that initial meeting. So always have it. It's not just about establishing that someone's going to work with you. That oftentimes is the case, but even with people who already want to work with you no matter what, you've got to have it so you can set proper expectations and create the best possible client experience for them. And that brings us to the 11th mistake that newly licensed real estate agents make, which is showing buyers homes without a pre-approval letter. And this is along the same lines as the last one. You've got to dictate as the professional what happens next in the process when someone's ready to take that next step. And what happens next isn't that you go see houses. Like I said, you got to have the consultation, but they're going to want to get connected with the lender next. So you get to help them make that connection oftentimes and set forth when in the process that happens. And that should happen before you really start the search process and start seeing a lot of houses, because the last thing that you want is to be showing people houses they can't afford, or be showing them houses and they find the perfect one they can afford, but they don't have that pre-approval letter in place, and then they miss out their opportunity to buy it, and then they can never find it after that. So don't get in a habit of showing buyers homes without a pre-approval. Follow the process, and more often than not, people are going to want to follow your lead with what happens next. Get connected with the lender, make sure they have everything squared away so that you can show them houses that are relevant to their budget and that they can be ready to put an offer in the moment they find one that suits all their wants and needs as best as possible. The 12th mistake that newly licensed real estate agents commonly make is reducing their commission. I see this happen so much in a couple of different forms actually. One form is thinking that you're going to get a lot more business by being able to take a discount, and another form is thinking you have to start on small deals before you can do big ones, and commonly that's working leases before you're doing sales. And both those things simply are not true. It's a false idea. It's absolutely not true. If you don't want to focus on small stuff, or if you don't want to take a discount, you don't have to in most situations if you're simply approaching it with the right mindset going into it. Because for someone who wants to buy or sell real estate, what is more important than price? Value. It's not about the price someone's paying, it's about the value you're getting. And as someone who's newly licensed, you have to lean harder into your value. And even if you don't have that sales track record or experience to pull that value from, well, what backing do you have behind you with your brokerage or the team you're on? Lean on something and really dial into it and know what the level of value is, and know that you can derive value out of your intention to help and to truly get the best result from someone and to actually care about them. Because guess what? This might come as a shock, but not every agent in our industry actually cares about people. Not all of them are really moving in a way that is in the client's best interest. Everyone's supposed to, but there's a lot of people out there, and I say that because there's a lot of people out there that are so focused on their next commission check that their number one thought on their mind isn't what's in the best interest of their client or really looking out for them. And so if you go into it with the kind of mindset where you do care, you're leading with the thought that you want to help somebody before you get a sell, and that you only want to get the sell and get the result if you truly help someone on the front end and did what was best for them. So if you have that hardened mindset, you can derive a lot of value out of that, because not everyone someone could work with is going to have that as their thought first and foremost. There's too many people that reek of commission breath, and people can sense it, where all they're thinking about is where their next paycheck's coming from, and they're spending more time talking than really listening to the person on the other end of the conversation. So you've got to make it more about them. You've got to care more about them. And if you do, there's a lot of value in working with somebody like that. Because at the end of the day, if someone's in a situation where they really need your back and need you looking out, well, if you really care, you're probably going to do everything you possibly can to make sure that everything works out okay and as best as possible it can for that other person, versus, you know, simply looking at how you can get paid. And so if you go into situations with confidence and belief in the value that you and the brokerage you're with bring to the table, the team you're with, and really lean into that, you're going to find more often than not that you don't even need to bring the thought of a discount in the conversation. In fact, in vast majority of situations, you're going to be able to get the full value for your service and what you believe it's worth. And even when faced with objections, you're going to be able to handle that objection. And at the end of the day, if someone doesn't want to work with you because you're charging a fair rate for your service, then you don't have to take them on as a client. And you don't have to focus on small deals. Unless you really want to work leases, you don't have to work leases. If you don't want to start small, you don't have to start small. If you're choosing to do that, that's because it's all in your own head and you're buying into something that isn't true that you believe. And that leads us into the 13th mistake that newly licensed real estate agents oftentimes make, which is lacking confidence. As someone brand new to the business, you have to intentionally do everything that you possibly can to cultivate your confidence, to build upon it, and to really fuel it on an ongoing basis. Because I'll tell you, I've been in situations where I've gone into it with confidence, and I've been in ones where I haven't. And I'll tell you, every single time I've gone into a situation with confidence, it's worked out okay. I mean, it doesn't always mean you get the business, it doesn't always mean anything, but I'll tell you, it works out okay in the sense that, hey, I know I did everything I could in that situation. And a lot of times it does work out in my favor when I go into something confident. But on the other hand, when I go into something without confidence or just highly lacking of it, very rarely does it work out in my favor. Oftentimes I'm just knowing that I didn't do my best, or just conveying myself in a different way than I otherwise would, or worse yet, even just not taking the action because I'm lacking the confidence. And so I'm speaking from experience with this. So you've got to develop confidence. You've got to really work on speaking with confidence and delivering confidence and just believing in yourself with confidence in every level, moving forward, speaking, connecting, and doing everything you do with confidence. Because the more you move with confidence, the more you're going to attract the kind of results you want your way. The less intentional you are about working on that, the harder of a time you're going to see seeing and building traction in this business. So you've got to understand that when you're brand new to the industry, it's a situation where you've got to act like you've been here before. You've got to walk and talk and believe like you're capable of achieving great things in this industry. If you're young, if you're new to the industry, don't think in terms of I'm a new agent. Don't speak such things. Do not say those words, I'm telling you. Instead, even if someone ever questioned you about it, hey, are you new to this? Is this your, like, are you brand new? Don't say yes. Don't say, yes, I'm a new agent. No, say, you know, I'm a young real estate mogul. Like, really believe that. Really believe not where you're at today, but where it is you're going, and really move as if that's where it is you're going, and walk like you've been here before. Because if you do that enough, well, guess what direction you're moving in? You're moving in the direction you want to go. You're not staying stuck where you're at without any confidence to move forward with it. The 14th mistake that newly licensed real estate agents make is analysis paralysis. Oftentimes we overthink this, we overcomplicate it, we spend so much time building lists and planning everything out, but when it comes time to take action, we just start making a new plan. So stop overthinking, start taking action and moving forward on what it is you know you need to do to move closer towards your goals. You're not going to go into a situation where you've got it down perfectly if you've never done it before. You've got to take the information you know on what it is you need to do, go out and implement it, and that's going to help you improve upon it and build your life in the process. So don't think too hard on it, don't overcomplicate it, don't overanalyze it. Take the information you've got and move forward with it, and then take that new data from your experience and then keep progressing with it. That's how you'll keep building up on it, and that's how you really learn this industry. It's not the book knowledge, it's mostly the experiential knowledge, and the book knowledge helps you figure out what the next step is. But once you know what that next step is, you just got to take that step and keep moving forward in that direction you want to go. The 15th mistake is avoiding discomfort. Far too many newly licensed agents are looking for the quick fix or the easy way or the shortcut. And I'm going to just tell you up front that I don't care how much time you spend looking for it, what you'll ultimately find at the end of that journey is that there is no shortcut. There is no way around what it is you need to do. And so what do you need to do? You need to do the work. And when you're starting out on this journey, the work is probably going to be really uncomfortable, especially if you're talking about making contacts to people, not knowing what to say, fumbling over your words, feeling like you just fell on your face. That's all going to happen. And the sooner you can accept that, the sooner you can move forward and actually grow in the process. So growth does not happen in your comfort zone. It does not happen without stepping outside of that area and into that discomfort and doing that on purpose, because when you're uncomfortable, that is a situation that's more conducive towards growth. As long as you're staying comfortable, you're probably staying stuck where you're at and you're not getting any closer towards where it is that you want to go by being in this industry. So get uncomfortable, do that on purpose. When you sense discomfort, when you're about to pick up the phone or knock that door or make that contact, whatever it is you're doing, and you're feeling uncomfortable about it, know that that is an indication that there is an opportunity in that moment for you to grow and move closer towards your bigger goal. And in doing that, you'll develop the skill sets and experience that you need to ultimately become who it is you're capable of being in this industry. But as long as you're comfortable and staying there, it's not going to happen. So get out of your comfort zone. Don't make the mistake of staying there so long like most newly licensed real estate agents will do. The 16th mistake that newly licensed real estate agents make is the big one, because this by far is what gets most people. This is what eliminates most people from the business, and it's the fact that they give up too soon. You've probably heard the stat that 87% of real estate agents fail. They're out of the business in the first 5 years. Most of them are out in the first 12 months. Why? Because they gave up. They gave up too soon. And fact is, you're launching a business. When you're launching a business, it's not a situation where you just get started and you get to earn a certain amount in year one. It's not a salary. It's not a guarantee. And you could be beginning the most successful business in our industry, or one of them, and your year one still may not be anything whatsoever to write home about. And that's perfectly fine. That's natural. No matter how year one goes, it's not an indicator on how prosperous your journey will be long-term or not. No, year one's really a test. It's a test if you will stick with it, if you will persist through all the odds and obstacles and everything you're going to learn along the way, and whether or not you'll still be in the business after that. Because most people, they will give up. They'll have too many obstacles, and sometimes it's not even in the business. Sometimes it's their personal life. They're excited about this journey in real estate until some terrible thing happens in their personal life, and now they're no longer putting their time and energy into real estate because they're distracted by it. And sometimes it is real estate related. Sometimes it's just the growing pains and how hard it is to get that initial traction and momentum, and then they stop doing the activities that they were doing to help get them that momentum. But if you do that, you're effectively not doing the activities that will take your business forward if you simply stick with it. So you've got to stick with it. Do not give up too soon. Even if you're months in or a year in and still haven't made any money, you've got to understand that that doesn't mean you're going to not make it in this business. That's just a test to see if you can keep going despite those odds, and if you can keep putting your best foot forward with faith and persistence, believing that it's going to work out as long as you keep moving forward and keep doing those activities that are going to lead to contacts, conversations, relations, and ultimately business that will result as long as you stick with it. So don't give up too soon. Statistically, I can prove this. As long as you don't give up too soon, you will make it in this business. It's literally the stats. Because guess what? The people still in the business after time, if they're putting their time, energy, effort into it, they're getting results with it. So it's not a question of if it can work with you or if you'll see results. The only question is if you'll stay around long enough to where you're applying your best effort into your business to give it time to actually see the result. So you can't just sit there and do nothing. You've got to apply yourself, and you've got to keep going forward no matter what. The 17th mistake that newly licensed real estate agents make is taking their foot off the gas too soon. Far too often, someone gets their first 1, 2, 3 deals closed, or maybe not even deals closed, but they feel like they generated their first few clients, and now they're showing properties, they're going through the process, and then they stop doing the things that they did in order to generate that business. And you absolutely cannot make that mistake. Actually, what you should do instead is when you start getting that momentum and getting those clients and closings, you should figure out how you can do more of what you did to make that happen so that you can continue to build up the momentum, because building momentum is the hardest part of this business. Going from zero to moving, it's like a train. Think of a train. Think of how much momentum it takes for those wheels to start turning with all that weight. And it's very similar in our business, but think of the train now. Once it's moving, how easy is it for it to continue moving? Well, at that point, it's got all this weight going in that one direction. And in our business, if you let off the gas too soon, you're going to absolutely destroy that momentum that you worked so hard on the front end to create. So instead of doing that, and instead of just maintaining the momentum, you've got to continue to build the momentum, because that's the only way you're going to keep moving forward as much as you possibly can. And actually, to build a business that's successful long term is if you build up enough momentum to where you're like a freight train moving down the tracks that's just wheels are churning and churning and churning, and there's nothing that's going to stop you anytime soon, because you're already full speed on the momentum and you're doing everything you can to keep going forward and to keep building upon it. So put your foot on the gas. This is what I always tell my agents. When you are getting these deals closed, your first ones, and you're feeling good about it and you're excited that you have business now when you didn't not so long ago, that's the time, that's your cue to put your foot down on the gas pedal and continue accelerating, and figure out how not only you can keep doing what got you there, but how you can do more of it, and really be hungry to add more business to your pipeline and to help more people. And that brings us to the 18th mistake that newly licensed real estate agents tend to make, which is not reinvesting revenue back into their business. So you've got to remember, at the end of the day, you're not simply doing something in which you're earning your own income. You're running your own business, and as a business owner, you've got to look at those commission checks not simply as income that goes straight into your pocket, but as revenue for your business. Because when you look at it that way, as a business owner, you should be posing the question of, hey, how can I take some of this revenue to put it back into building and growing my business? Because if you want to continue to grow and expand it, you're going to want to be taking a portion of your revenue and putting it back into building and growing your business, to servicing your clients at a higher level, perhaps to generating even more business, to have some spend with it. Because every business that grows, that's what they do. It's not a situation where there's just income going directly into the business owner's pocket. So if you want to grow bigger and get there sooner rather than later, you've got to be taking a portion of your revenue consistently as it comes in and put it back into your business. And when you're newer to the business, some of the best ways you can use your revenue initially is to put it back into developing yourself, to building your mindset, to putting yourself in the right rooms with bigger movers and shakers in the industry, rooms in which you can learn more strategies and tactics from people who are further along the path than you are. And then as you're doing that and building your business, you could have more revenue at that point to reinvest into generating more business, as long as you have the systems in place to handle more business. Because you don't want to generate more business if you don't have your processes dialed into where you're actually taking care of people. But as long as you're able to handle more business, take care of more people, that's where you could put more dollars into getting your name out there more, reaching more people. That way you have more people to help, and you can continue to build your business there. And another way too is reinvesting into past clients. What can you do to stay relevant to them and continue to add value to them moving forward? Because the most likely person to do business with you is someone who you already know, and better yet, someone who's already done a deal with you. There's no one more likely to do business with you than someone who's already been through the process and had a great experience. So it's important that you don't forget about them, and it's important that you take some of that revenue you're earning and reinvest it into what you're doing to stay on on top of their mind and add value to them over the longer course of time. And so those are the 18 mistakes that I most commonly see newly licensed real estate agents make. And here's what I tell you at this point in the video: if you found this helpful at all, if you learned anything, if this helped you avoid some potential mistakes that you might have otherwise made had you not seen this, please do me a favor, like, comment, and make sure you've hit that subscribe button, because I want to continue to share more tips and resources to help you build your business and ultimately your life through real estate in the time ahead. If you're serious about making the biggest moves in real estate and you're already in the business, or you're about to start in the business and hit the ground running with your real estate license, I'd love to connect with you and to know what questions you have, or if you'd like to just get my input on anything that you would like to know about the industry, getting started with it, I'd be more than happy to connect further with you. So if you'd like to do that, go ahead and send me an email and we'll connect further at that point. And with that in mind, thank you so much for watching the video, and until next time, I'll look forward to seeing you on the next video.